Bassmaster returns to Clewiston, Florida for stop number 1.
My childhood was a lot different than I imagine a lot of people would think.
Your champion, Scott Martin.
I had to learn how to do things on my own because, again, he wasn't around.
Let's get ready to win!
He's one of the best fishermen in the world.
There was a lot of backlash. Why would he go to a bass mafia?
And the now dangerous one, Chris Zaldane.
He's one of the most popular anglers on tour.
Every dollar I've ever made has been because of what I've done.
In the next chapter of my career, my goals are pretty simple. Is have a chance to hoist the Bassmasters Classic Trophy over my head in front of my dad.
That is it, baby!
Well, my dad, it was interesting, and he's still this way today. I call him the Iron Man because he just never stopped. I don't ever remember him sitting down watching a movie. I remember him watching the Super Bowl one time for a little bit, but like he was always up doing stuff. He was either out in the garage working on something or getting ready for a tournament, or he was just always busy. His mind was always going a million miles an hour, and he's always thinking. So very passionate, obviously, about the sport. He's like a kid. He's 84 years old today, and he's as excited about bass fishing and fishing in general today at 84 as he was, I would imagine, at 20. It's amazing. He's an inspiration, not only to me, but I think to the whole industry, because so many people come up to me that have spent time with my dad or talked to him or fished with him, and they're just amazed. And that's my biggest thing that I take away from him is his focus and desire and passion for the sport. Yeah, so a few years back, I told Dad, I said, Dad, you're getting up there a little bit. This whole new generation of kids coming in with high school and college fishing, you gonna have to reintroduce yourself. So I think you should do YouTube. I think you should do Instagram. He didn't even really know what all that was about. But I tell you what, he's embraced it. He's actually out there shooting all of his YouTube stuff. And here's the best part, like we spent all this time making our YouTubes. We've got several camera guys. We've got all this cinematic stuff going on, and reality this and reality that. And Dad runs around with a GoPro on a stick and some rubber bands holding the battery pack to the back of it. And it's just the most raw thing ever. Him just, guys, all right, we're going fishing. Oh yeah, hey, whoa, what's going on over there? And it's just, at first I was like, Dad, you gotta do it, but you gotta do it like really cool. And he's like, nah, I'm just gonna do it like that. And it works. So I'm so glad he actually kept that whole style, because he's the most raw, real fishing channel on YouTube out there, 100%. A lot of people thought, because I grew up with my dad fishing as much and being successful in the tournament stuff, that I probably just went fishing with him all the time and I did all these great things fishing-wise, and really it was kind of the opposite. I probably saw my dad less than most people saw their father at home, because he was on the road. Back then, we didn't have cell phones and the internet wasn't a big thing, and so communication was very limited. He'd go away for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and I wouldn't know where he was at. But I didn't get to fish with my dad as much as people would probably think.
We haven't fished together this whole year. We don't fish enough together.
I didn't get to hang out with him as much because he was so busy. So my childhood was a lot different than I imagine a lot of people would think. When I look at my fishing skills and ability, I think it's just in my DNA. But two, it's almost a self-taught thing. And in a way, I think it helped me because I did have to learn how to fish on my own. I had to learn how to do things on my own and independently from my dad, because again, he wasn't around. We didn't have YouTube, we didn't have internet, we didn't have all those things going on where I could stay in touch and learn from him. So, I think I only fished with him a few times a year, but growing up with him was a lot of fun when he was there, because we spent a lot of time together hunting. We would go fishing occasionally, but it was usually revolved around shooting a TV show or doing a tournament or something like that. But I didn't fish any local tournaments with my dad growing up. My first tournament I ever fished at 15 was with my other buddy that was 15. So I started fishing tournaments kind of with my friends. And but my mom, she fished a lot as well. But she was really busy. We started the marina back in the 80s, and my mom was super busy running that place, keeping it busy. So my childhood was a lot different, I bet, than what people think, because again, I didn't get to fish with my dad too often. And then my after school activities, I pretty much hung around the marina. As a young kid, I'd play with the shiners and the minnows and the tank and mess around with tackle and just kind of goof around. And then as I got older, I started working at the marina a little bit, guiding some. I started guiding at the age of 15 years old on the lake. So, I was always doing something on the water, in and around the marina. My mom was home pretty much 7 days a week, but again, my dad was gone a lot. When you grow up like I did, where he was a successful angler and on TV and all that even before I was born, I didn't see it any different. It was just the way of life, And then growing up in a small town like Clewiston, you didn't get a lot of, interaction and stuff from fans there in Clewiston other than people that would come to the marina. But I remember going on the road with him a few times, when I was 13, 14, 15 years old, maybe to go film a TV show or something in the summertime. I'd help him out a little bit. And as we'd travel around, like a lot of times like in Alabama and Georgia, if we went into a Walmart or went into a store, people would always come up and want an autograph. And I always thought that was really cool. It was a neat feeling to see parents with their kids, introducing their kids to my dad and getting an autograph. And I think that really made me appreciate fan interaction better. I feel like I try to do a great job with the fans. I really appreciate the interaction that they give me, the support that they give me, and meeting this next generation of anglers is most important to me, to be honest with you. So I think watching my dad interact over the years just kind of got me used to how to do that, and it's helped me. But for me, it was just always the same. He was just dad, and he was just a normal dude to me. It wasn't anything different. But the one thing that kind of drove me crazy at a young age is when I was in a public setting or around somebody, they'd always introduce me, "Hey, this is Roland Martin's son." And I was always, I don't know why, and not that I didn't like to be Roland Martin's son, I don't know, I didn't like it. It's just a weird feeling. I don't know if it wasn't a cringy feeling. It was just kind of like, I just want to be Scott.
What his success right now is his own success. Scott is his own person.
I remember not too long ago, full circle moment for me with my dad is, we were standing in a crowd of people at a tournament, and someone said to my dad, "That's Scott's father." I was like, yes, finally. I think this probably happens a lot with people that grew up in the industry of whatever it may be, a NASCAR or fishing or any of sport for that matter. I think there's a certain group of people, and it disappoints me, to be honest, and I've had to fight through this my whole life, especially early on in my career. It's not so much anymore, but the first 4 or 5 years that I tried to do this, I think a lot of people thought, oh, he's got all his sponsors and all that because of your dad, and there's some kind of money. I don't get a money. I don't have a trust fund. I don't have a paycheck coming in once a month. I don't have an allowance. Everything I did, everything I've ever done, it's a fact, everything I've ever done, every dollar I've ever made has been because of what I've done, 100%. Every job I've had is because of what I did. I went out and caught shiners on the lake at a young age. I started my own guide service. The TV shows and all the different things that I've done, I do that on my own. And I kind of took a different approach to it at an early age because I wanted to separate. I didn't want anybody to say that I didn't earn that. So I went after sponsors that were not my dad's sponsors. I didn't have sponsors that my dad could call and get a deal with so-and-so. I went out and got my own things. And that gave me the confidence and I think the respect in the industry as well, that I could do it on my own and do my own thing. But I think that there's a group of people that probably think that I've got some kind of advantage. I don't know what that advantage would be. I've even had people like in the comments, because I read them all, recently when I won Okeechobee, saying things like, "Oh yeah, you fished your daddy's spot," and it's like, I know they're probably just being sarcastic and kind of rude, but there's people that think that, like in fishing, like my dad fished this lake in 1980, right here behind us. I mean, he's not, like, I've never talked to my dad about where to fish in a tournament, because it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like, my dad doesn't say, all right, son, you're going to such and such lake, and I fished there in 1985, and you should go fish this point because they were schooling on this point. Like, that's just not reality at all. So I've never really talked to my dad. It's funny, I talked to my dad, he calls me usually about the second or third day of practice and just gets a report from me. He doesn't ever say anything. He just lets me do my own thing, which again has helped me tremendously be a better angler. So those are just some things I think probably a lot of people probably didn't realize, you know? You know, again, I think the biggest thing I've taken away from my dad over the years is just his willpower to innovate. You know, it's innovation on the water, it's innovating lures. He's tweaking things all the time. And I've been out in the garage with him as a young kid, you know, playing with lures, and we made molds. One time we were making molds for these lures that we actually won a tournament on Lake Okeechobee on years ago. And so at an early age, I was always tinkering with lures and seeing how they worked in the water and how they looked, of course, and obviously how they caught fish. And I think that's really helped me so much on my thought process with building lures in today's world. You know, what I've done with Googan has been awesome. The bait that we made, the Bandido Bug that I came up with, I mean, I just couldn't be more proud of that thing. It was magic right out of the gate. I remember sitting there when the very first conversations we had, which we went through some crazy names and stuff, you know, which I'm glad we didn't choose any of those. We had like the Flipper Skipper, and we had all these crazy names, but we came up with Bandido Bug. It fits it perfect. But when we designed that bait and I was drawing it out, and I was drawing appendages on it, and I wanted certain characteristics that I know really get those fish to react. That's where we just, over 4 or 5 or 6 different, you know, revisions of this thing, we tuned it down to what we have today, and it was awesome. But those days that I spent in that shop with my dad, the days that I spent pouring plastics and taking them out in the pool, taking them on the lake and testing them, and that feeling like when you catch a fish on something you make is like the best feeling ever. And so now, I mean, like, when I catch a fish on the Bug, it's like the best feeling ever. And then knowing that there's like all these people in the whole country fishing that thing is so awesome. And then it's so fitting to be able to catch the Bassmaster's record, that bait having the record for Bassmaster in total weight, biggest bag, and all that good stuff. I mean, it's awesome. I remember the first time we took the Bandido Bug out and I fished it on my TV show. They sent me some finished products. I had one Ziploc bag full of about 10 baits. That's all we had. And I was fishing on the Kissimmee chain with a guy that's really, really good. And he likes to flip pads. And he'd been cracking them on a big Senko style bait with a weight on it. And that's how he fished. And I pulled out that Bandido Bug. And I was fishing behind him. I was letting him run the trolling motor. And everywhere we went, he would pitch up to those pads and work it through there and do his thing. And then I would come in behind him later on after we went past it. And all of a sudden, boom, I'd catch a fish, nice one. And then boom, I'd catch another one. And to the point that this is not a joke, to the point, and that we filmed this and we were talking about it on the episode, that I had him down like 15-2 behind him. And I thought to myself, like, dude, and a couple times I'd be reeling the bait out of the water and a fish would just come up and crash it right at the boat, like chase it out of the pads and eat the thing as it's coming out of the water. That right there told me this bait, there's something super special about this bait. I don't know, it's magic. It's just the way that it comes through the water, the vibration that it gives off, the profile. I mean, I don't know if we could make it, I mean, we just got really fortunate and it's perfect in my opinion. You know, like I said, I'm out here for many reasons. My family most importantly. But my dad, you know, trying to finish what I call unfinished family business is very important to me. Again, I don't think I'm in any stretch of the imagination gonna win 19 Bassmaster tournaments or 9 over the years. But the one thing I could do would be amazing is win the Bassmasters Classic for my dad. He fished for all those years, and that's the one title that eluded him for all those years. He qualified for the Bassmasters Classic like 27 or 8 times, some crazy number. He finished second several times. but he never won the Bassmaster Classic. And so that's really my driving force out here, and the main reason that I switched over to Bassmasters a few years ago. When I was on FLW, which is now MLF, I had a great run over there, accomplished what I needed to accomplish. But that one thing, the Bassmasters Classic, I could never win the Bassmasters Classic for my dad fishing Major League Fishing because obvious reasons. So I decided to fish the Bassmaster Elite, and my goal is to win the Bassmasters Classic one day. And I don't take that lightly. I know that everybody wants to win the Bassmaster Classic. It's the most coveted thing in the sport. It changes your life. But if I could win it, I tell you, it would complete every single thing. It would complete every single thing. And so that's all we can do is fish as hard as we can and keep your eye on that and keep fishing as hard as I can to pull that off one day. That's all I can do. You know, be smart, learn along the way, and just stay passionate about it and try to win this thing for Pops.
Hey, we got her. Oh. We got her. Oh, let's go, dude. Yes, bro. Let's go close to that. Absolutely. Ooh, big one.